Oh. Wow, now official. Thank you.
What's that?
Did I turn off the video?
Yeah.
Mic check, mic check. Check, check.
Check, check. Definitely not on, right? Or rejected. Check. Here, oh, just replace it. Can you get one of the people to help us with the mic?
Check, check.
Something. And you did it.
Check, 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 check. Yeah, that's right. Okay, welcome to Faculty Senate meeting. I called this meeting to order at 3:01 on September 20th, 2022. Roll is taken by means of sign-in sheet, so please be sure you sign in. We have a few alternate representatives today, and they are as follows: Oliver Krakow for Michelle Todd, Fred Agazade for Jerry Knapp, Mariano Carrasino for Adriano Vata, Gregory Purser for Janine Gradeski, and Shengli Chan for Louis Mohammed. Are there any other alternatives here who haven't registered with me? Okay, wonderful. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we have a quorum. Our meeting today will include a presentation by LSU Police Department Chief Bart Thompson. We are happy to welcome him to the meeting. His presentation will occur at the end of the meeting, followed by a Q&A session. There are no public comments on agenda items today. The Secretary's draft of the minutes of the August 29th meeting was distributed via email. Are there any corrections to the minutes as distributed? Yeah, please identify yourself.
So Param Singh, Senator College of Science. I think there was a small discussion about the violence issue in LSU areas, and President Tate commented briefly about it, that everything was probably normal and fine. So that has not been represented in the minutes. Mic doesn't work.
Unfortunately, they're decorative.
So
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
so there was an
Param,
issue.
maybe you can bring the mic here.
So there was a brief discussion on the violence in the LSU area, and the President Tate briefly commented that things are normal and will be fine. So I just want that should be accurately reflected in the minutes.
So noted.
So noted. Okay. Any other corrections or amendments to the minutes from our last meeting? If there are no further corrections, we will accept the minutes pending the correction that was just suggested by Param Singh. I move that we accept the minutes from August 29th meeting. Any discussion? We now move to the vote. Those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand. Those who are opposed, please say nay. Those who'd like to abstain, please say abstain. The minutes from August 29th Faculty Senate meeting are approved. We now move to the Faculty Senate President's report. Dear Senators, before I read my President's report, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the undergraduate student, Allison Rice, who was brutally murdered last week on Government Street. So please join me in the moment of silence. Thank you. I hope that your semesters have settled into routines of the fall semester. Since our meeting on August 29th, the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, the FSEC, and I have been busy on many fronts. We have divided Susanna Knoll's position between Office of Academic Affairs and the AFSEC. This means keeping up with the Senate emails, various scheduled events, website maintenance, among other responsibilities. The job posting for the assistant to the Faculty Senate President closed last week. Vice President Dan Tyrone and Emily Hatfield from Academic Affairs and I have reviewed the applications and will schedule interviews in coming weeks. We hope to make our hire by the end of the month. Per Provost Hegarty's request, Dan Tyrone and I are working with student government leaders and representatives from Academic Affairs to address some student concerns about class management issues, including grade reporting. We are working together to create better communication with the respective departments, directors of undergraduate studies or their equivalent, and students, as well as LSU Cares reporting system. We're also evaluating possible revisions to policy statements that address the issues of concern, including PS 48, which is on student grievance and appeals, PS 29, which is on syllabi statements, and PS 44, which deals with student grading. I will continue to keep you informed on further developments and solicit feedback as we move forward with this. We also held 2 orientations last week on September 14th. The new Senator Orientation Luncheon took place at the Faculty Club. We had 15 new senators in attendance. Dan Tyrone and I ran the orientation. We had prepared a presentation that summarized faculty governance structure, history of the Senate, senators' roles, and open meetings law, among others. The second orientation was held that same afternoon. The orientation was for chairs of standing committees. We gave guidance on open meetings law and how to move forward with their committees with these regulations. There were some serious concerns expressed by some of the committee chairs regarding confidentiality issues that are often part of discussion on these committees. Dan and I will be working with the Executive Committee and General Counsel's Office to try to figure out how to address these serious faculty concerns without violating open meetings law. All the materials shared at both orientations were emailed this past weekend to the respective groups involved in these events. We are proud to finally distribute the Faculty Senate Guidebook. If you haven't gotten one, please get one today. The Faculty Senate Executive Committee spent a large portion of the summer working on it, and I hope that you will find it informative and helpful as we embark on 2022-23 academic year. I'd like to thank my terrific colleagues who worked with me so tirelessly on it. I'm especially indebted to Dan Turone and Jeff Rowland for sharing their infinite knowledge and expertise on Senate governance. I could not have done it without them. A broadcast email went out to all faculty earlier this morning. As part of Executive Committee's new initiative, we hope to send broadcast email monthly to all faculty. The one that went out this morning included a brief summary of our first Senate meeting, results of the COVID survey, and a new survey seeking faculty who are willing and able to serve on Senate and administrative committees. This survey will assist us in deepening and widening the pool of faculty available for appointment and elections to these crucial committees. And we hope that the broadcast email will be helpful in informing the entire faculty about the efforts being undertaken under their behalf by their representative bodies, including the Senate and senators. Please be sure to complete the survey and to also encourage your colleagues to do the same. That survey appears at the very bottom of the broadcast email. In coming months, we have several plans that include faculty compensation. I have already begun the conversation with President Tate and Provost Hegarty. I was encouraged by President Tate's comment at the most recent Board of Supervisors meeting when he highlighted his focus on faculty compensation. I will keep you apprised of the developments of this important issue, which affects not only our campus, but the entire LSU system. If you have any special expertise that can help us better address this issue, please do not hesitate to contact me directly. We are stronger together. This concludes my report. Are there any questions? Please say it for the record so that we can,
Joan King, Senator.
thank you.
I was just wondering how many applicants there were for the replacement for Susanna.
Emily, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think there were 15.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
We can get you an exact number though.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some really promising ones, so fingers crossed, yeah. Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Press and hold.
We'll get this sorted out at some point. I just want to follow up. Nessa is not one to toot her own horn. She's been working incredibly hard, and we're all very lucky to have her in the work she's been doing. And I also wanted to extend our deep appreciation to Emily Hatfield and the other folks at Academic Affairs. To say that this has been a monumental undertaking would be underselling it, and we could not have had a better partner than Emily and her staff over there. It's helping us get up to speed, getting the meetings organized, learning the ropes. And so we are tremendously grateful and really thankful for everything we've done and look forward to continuing to work with them moving forward.
We now move to unfinished business. So we have a second reading of Resolution 2207, University Participation in Consortium of Universities Studying Slavery, sponsored by Faculty Senate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, Carceral Studies Group, the Department of History, and the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies Program. Is there anyone in the audience who will read this? Since we don't have a representative, we're gonna postpone. I mean, I've been in touch with them that they would like to postpone this. They're just not here to say it themselves. So I'm just gonna go ahead and represent this. I'm sorry. I can represent this. Okay, do you wanna? Sure.
Sorry, I'm not really prepared, but I am a member of the Department of History. I'm Meredith Feldman, and we are one of the sponsors of this resolution. But again, because the chair has not been able to to meet. I know that the group would like to postpone this for another month. So, I believe we would, the formal language is I would like to move that we postpone this for another month. Right?
Yeah, just do the October.
To the October meeting. Yeah. Seconded by John Bars.
Discussion? Okay, so the motion is to postpone the second reading of resolution 2207 to the October meeting. We seconded, so we now move to the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. The resolution is postponed until October meeting. The next order of business is new business. And we have first reading of resolution 2208, revision to Article 6, election of officers of the LSU Faculty Senate bylaws, sponsored by the Faculty Senate Executive Committee. Parampreet Singh will read it.
I move to adopt the Faculty Senate Resolution 2208. Can you hear now? Sorry. Can you hear? Okay. So. So I move to adopt the Faculty Senate Resolution 2208, revision to Article 6, election of officers of the LSU Faculty Senate bylaws, sponsored by Faculty Senate Executive Committee. Whereas the Faculty Senate Executive Committee provides leadership for the Senate and consists of the President, the Vice President, the Secretary, 3 at-large members, and the past President as an ex officio member. And whereas the election of the President, the Vice President, the Secretary, and 2 members at large of the Faculty Senate Executive Committee occurs in the April Faculty Senate meeting. And whereas the election of 1 at-large member is carried out in the first meeting of the fall semester from the newly elected senators to the Senate. And whereas the orientation of the new senators generally occurs after the first fall meeting of the Senate. And whereas the notification of new senators is sometimes sent to the Senate by respective colleges and units close to the first fall Senate meeting. And whereas the election in April meeting is facilitated by a nomination committee, and such a committee is difficult to convene before the first meeting of the fall term. And whereas the new senators elected to the Senate in the fall include many who are serving as senators for the first time and are thus not fully aware of the election procedures and opportunities to become part of the Faculty Senate Executive Committee. Therefore, be it resolved that the election of the one at-large member of the Faculty Senate Executive Committee, which is carried out in the first meeting of the fall term, be carried out in the second or the October meeting of the fall term, whichever occurs first, to provide a warm-up period for the new senators to avail themselves of opportunities to run for important roles in the Senate and seek election in the Faculty Senate Executive Committee. And therefore, be it further resolved that the Article 6.2 of the LSU Faculty Senate bylaws, which currently reads, all current senators, the president and sitting members of the FSEC are eligible to be nominated for FSEC positions. The FSEC shall appoint a nominating committee composed of 4 retiring members of the Senate representing 4 different colleges, schools, or units. The nominating committee shall report to the FSEC a slate of candidates, at least 1 for each Senate office, and for 2 at-large executive committee members after ascertaining that the nominees are willing and available to serve. That slate shall be published in the agenda for the March meeting of the Senate. At the March meeting, the President shall announce the slate and call for further nominations from the floor. Candidates' qualifications for office shall be circulated before the April meeting. At the April meeting, officers will be elected in the order president, vice president, secretary, and 2 at-large executive committee members. After each election, the floor shall be reopened for nominations for the next office to be filled. The agenda for the first meeting of the fall term will include the election of 1 newly elected senator to fill the 3rd at-large position on the FSEC. At the first meeting, nominations will be open and the election held. Be revised to read, all current senators, the president, and the sitting members of the FSEC are eligible to be nominated for FSEC positions. The FSEC shall appoint a nominating committee composed of 4 retiring members of the Senate representing 4 different colleges, schools, or units. The nominating committee shall report to the FSEC a slate of candidates, at least 1 for each Senate office and for 2 at-large executive committee members, after ascertaining that the nominees are willing and available to serve. That slate shall be published in the agenda for the March meeting of the Senate. At the March meeting, the president shall announce the slate and call for further nominations from the floor. Candidates' qualifications for office shall be circulated before the April meeting. At the April meeting, officers will be elected in the order: president, vice president, secretary, and 2 at-large executive committee members. The agenda for the 2nd or the October meeting of the fall term, after each election, the floor shall be reopened for nominations for the next office to be filled. The agenda for the 2nd or the October meeting of the fall term, whichever occurs first, will include the election of the 1 newly elected senator in the fall term to fill the 3rd at-large position on the FSEC. At the 2nd or October meeting of the fall term, whichever occurs first, nominations will be open and the elections held.
Since this was sponsored by a committee, we don't need a second. So is there any discussion? Please identify yourself and then speak.
I'm Jeff Rowland, philosophy. Friendly amendment in the penultimate sentence of the revised part. I would like to strike in the fall term, falling between Senate and 2, or senator rather, and 2. See it?
Can you highlight where it is?
So Professor Rowland has suggested an amendment that so here, 1 newly elected senator in the fall term.
Yeah.
He suggests that we remove in the fall term and just refer to 1 newly elected senator.
Yeah.
This is the second.
Just 1 second.
Thomas Southett, College of the Coast and Environment. Friendly suggestion. It might improve clarity for future reference to refer in an introductory paragraph to the exact section of the bylaws that are being amended and what's being changed, as well as a brief rationale. Also friendly amendment in terms of formatting. I don't believe you need an and between whereas generally.
Okay, thank you. Like, so I was thinking like once we introduce the this motion, then we can have a discussion on the rationale behind it. So I very much welcome, like, if there are any questions about the rationale behind this motion.
Roy Heidelberg Business. That was actually my question. Like, what advantage does this give us? Is it to just onboard people more easily into
Yes.
it? And
So this
is that necessary?
So the point is that I recall, like, when I first time ran When I first time became senator last year, and my unit informed the Faculty Senate Executive Committee about like couple of days just before the first Senate meeting. A similar thing happened this year. And the feedback from some of the new senators was that they were not fully aware of what was happening in the FSEC election. And we are just trying to reform the process where we give more time to the new senators. Some of them are some of them are senators for the very first time. They are not even aware in the very first meeting what actually is the election about. So this is just to give a month or so to the new incoming senators to understand that these are the exec roles, these are the positions they are running for, and also like when
Turn it off.
So this is essentially to make the process simpler and more attractive for the incoming new senators to run for FSEC roles, and also like to somehow, whenever there is a transition of FSEC or whenever the new FSEC president comes, or to give a chance to the FSEC to have some sort of a nomination committee or a better nomination process for these new senator positions. So this is just to reform that gap in a way.
Can I follow up? Do we lose anything in the operations of FSEC if somebody is not a member for potentially a month and a half, even longer if it goes into the October meeting?
I don't think so. I think like most of the new senators are identified by end of August or something. The problem is that some of the senators which the new senators are running for the first time, they are serving for the first time. They are just not aware of various things. So I don't think we will lose anything. We will only make the system better, more transparent, like in a more democratically friendly. So, sorry, not transparent, but democratically friendly.
Joan King, Senator from School of Nutrition and Food Sciences. I was wondering if you looked at the history at all as to why the Faculty Senate Executive Committee and the Senate came up with this idea of putting a new senator on the Faculty Senate Executive Committee immediately at the first meeting. And I don't think we need a nominations committee because all new faculty senators are eligible to run for that office. And I think that with the new handbook that you have, there could be an explanation of the Faculty Senate Executive Committee. So then the new senators get the handbook at the beginning of the year. They can understand what that's about. But I think it's good to have fresh ideas, but it seems to me that usually we don't get someone that's brand new on the Senate that wants to be on the Faculty Senate Executive Committee immediately. We usually have somebody that's been in the Senate like their second time, say, as a new senator again. So I don't see a problem.
So I can speak from my own personal experience, and I can also like some of the new senators are missing today and they don't have an alternate representation, and they reached out to me after the previous Senate meeting, and they were new senators serving for the first time, and they said like if they would have known the process in a better way earlier, or there was more time, they would have liked to run for it. So why leave any possibility? I see no harm that we postpone it to the second meeting or in October. It gives chance to everyone to participate. And we saw, in fact, you were nominating a couple of the senators last time to run for FSEC, and people didn't came forward. So I think like it will just make the electoral process much more user friendly. I don't see a harm of waiting for a month to elect the new senator.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to say, I think we forgot to do the move into discussion vote before we discussed the resolution.
No, we did. I said, we did move to discussion. We didn't second because it was sponsored by a committee. This is the first reading of the resolution. According to our constitution, resolutions are voted on during the meeting, which follows their introduction, unless there is a motion to suspend the rules. We will have the second reading at our October meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
We will now move to the presentation of our guest speaker, Bart Thompson, his LSU Police Department Chief, which will be followed by the Q&A period. Please help me welcome Chief Thompson.
Can you hear me? Come on. I make a motion that we get new audio equipment for the October meeting. Just want to take some time. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you. And I got 19 minutes. All right. Based on y'all's questions. I just want to talk about a little bit about the semester. Of course, the first week, we had 3 major incidents. We had a robbery late at night, one morning between 2 subjects that knew each other. One was an LSU student, one was not. It resulted in a shooting, and that subject is in custody. Right after that, probably 3 days or 4 days afterwards, we had a report of a kidnapping that occurred again early one morning at one of our parking lots. And the victim, who is an LSU student, claimed that she was abducted and taken off to a location. Okay. Taken to another location. And through the investigation, it determined that it was not what the victim reported based on evidence and based on camera footage. That student is no longer a student by choice, by her father's choice, so she is not with us. Then we had a third incident, which was another kidnapping. And that incident was reported at Acadian Hall, where our student had ordered some food from DoorDash. And when they went up to make the delivery, it was first reported that she was grabbed by the arm and attempted to drag her in the car. And the driver took off when that didn't work. Through the investigation, we learned that the driver, the suspect, was actually not a DoorDash employee. He was using his brother's credentials. But through the investigation and based on a second interview with the victim and witnesses, he did not try to grab her and pull her in the car. He was actually trying to offer her a date and did grab her arm. So he was charged. He was charged with simple battery and simple assault. So I say that because I want to make sure everyone understands, because of the Clery guidelines, what is required. If a call comes in, whatever that call is reported, it could be a homicide, it could be a robbery, that call automatically gets billed into what we call the crime blotter, which it's automatic. It's nothing we do. The call gets dispatched out and that call gets put in the crime blotter because that's what Clery requires. So law enforcement on campuses do not have the chance to investigate it at that time. And through investigation, a lot of times it determines that, as reported, the crime is not what it really was. And sometimes it's worse, but you can't go back and change the blotter. So that's why you'll see something that'll come up and then we'll make an arrest or we put out an alert and this is what it is. That's the reason it is, because it's not as way it was reported. There's nothing around that. We wish we would be able to investigate something before we put it out, but it's electronically put on that blotter, and that's where we get. We do see, with all that being said, we do see an increase of crime, both on campus and off. 98% of crime on our campus is a non-LSU affiliate person. Across the board, it's been that way for years. So our number one goal at LSU Police Department is obviously to keep crime off our campus. We started last year, we moved into what we call the Parish Communications Network. So not only are we seeing our cars on the computer screen, but we're also seeing our two partner agencies, the Sheriff's Office and Baton Rouge Police Department. And why that is important, if we did have an incident where additional law enforcement is needed, of course, here they come, but a lot of them may not know where they're going. So our communications folks can say, no, this car needs to go there. This car needs to go there. So it works out real well because we see what's going on. And when we hear a crime that is off campus, what do? We do the line. We try to keep that perpetrator from coming onto our campus. And that's what night shift does. So what is the university doing and what is LSU PD doing to fight the crime? In 2022-23 funding, we were awarded additional funding for 2 more police officers positions. And we were also awarded funding for a security detail, what we call non-commissioned officers. And those 5 patrol officers or those 5 security officers will work 7 at night to 7 in the morning. They'll be on bikes, they'll be on foot, they'll be on golf carts. And we want them to be very visible around our campus late at night. We also started back based on funding through the police department, and I don't know where the funding came from, but we'll see at the end of the year. We went back to providing a patrol officer at 5 of our residential life areas. We had that in the past and funding came in. We had to move some things around, but we have gone back to that. So if you have a night class and you see an officer at one of the residential life areas with a solid blue light on, that's what they're doing. They're maintaining presence at those residential life areas. And that is additional to the patrol officers. So unless something emergency occurs, that officer will not be leaving that area. They'll stay in that area. In addition, we have an officer that's in the sorority lake area, and we have additional officer at law school, but we'd always had those 2 locations. So officer presence is big. We also were in the process of a lighting project, which I think it starts in October. The good thing is the funding has already been obtained through the legislature. And we also are in the process of revamping our camera system. We have over 1,700 cameras. Cameras, in my opinion, is probably the #1 thing to keep crime off our campus, because the criminal element knows that if they come on campus, we probably will get their picture. The camera system that we currently are using are the same camera system that started back in the 80s when the first camera came to the union. So the technology is so much better. It allows us to put it in what we call patrol mode. So for example, this building, when we know the janitorial system is finished with this building, then it can go on patrol mode. And anytime there's motion within the building during that time, it will send an email or text to our communications folks. We can do it in parking lots. We can do it in computer lots, just any of those locations. Yeah, we may be chasing a raccoon at the dining hall, but who cares? It gives us an opportunity to go look and see what it is. So that's doubling our patrol system without having to add the manpower to do it. So we feel real fortunate that the bid closes on the 23rd, and we hope to move forward to that in the next 30 days. So that's going to be a great system. It also allows us right now, if we have a picture of a violator that we're looking on the cameras, we have to physically go through every one of our camera footage and camera to view and find that person again, because we have so many cameras on campus that not only that we maybe have a picture of them in this auditorium, but we start looking at how did they get here and where are they going? And did they get in a car? So of course, all that takes time. Well, with the new camera system, it takes about 3 minutes and it will automatically check all the cameras. You do a thumbnail, this is who we want, and it goes and finds it. So to me, that's huge. And we've been fighting that for 2 years, and we finally were able to move forward to that. So unless we come up with an issue, which I don't think we will, we'll start replacing cameras. A lot of the departments and auxiliaries agree. We identified 106 cameras that need to be replaced immediately, and then we'll go from there. And that's will be the first group that's coming out. So we're really excited about that. And again, the cameras can't catch anybody, but the criminal element knows that this is not a good place to go and they can go somewhere else. We will continue to do what we have been doing with our safety and security folks. We have RAD training that we can put on anytime. We have equalizer training for women and men, and we have run, have, fight. We started doing run, have, fight over the summer. We had 2 back-to-back classes. There were faculty members and Senate staff that attended. Run, have, fight is, you get that video, and then those that are not familiar with it, it kind of steps them back. What do you mean, run, have, fight? So it explains what that is and some options that you could do. And it's an 8-hour class. And I know that's a lot to put up and to adjust your schedule. But the last 4 hours gives you the ability is, for example, in your classroom, that's where we'll set up and we'll do scenarios, and we want to go over of if someone's coming down the hall, this is what you can do. And obviously fight is the last option. So it's a real good course. It's free, and we're all about free. But we encourage any department that would like us to come put on this class, we can do that, and just go to our website. So question-wise, crime-wise, we do have a security and safety committee. We meet every month. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow, and someone from the provost's office is on that committee. And we discuss, and student government is on it. A lot of stakeholders. It gives us the ability of not the police just saying, this is what we think. It gives the ability for, throughout our campus to bring up items and things of their concern, and we can look at it on a broader picture. So questions, comments, suggestions? We have a hot mic. Yeah, better grab it.
Did you say 98%?
98, yes.
Not affiliated.
Even at Tigerland, the Baton Rouge Police Department and ABC, Alcohol Beverage Control, they go to Tigerland and they are targeting underage drinking. And they have been doing that for years and years. It's a federal grant. Probably 3 years ago, the LSU Police Department joined in to assist them with that. And the reason that they like that is because we know at the end of the day, 98% of our students expect to graduate here, and they become very officer friendly and do what they need to do. And they like us being there. I'll put it that way. Yes, sir.
I was a witness to a crime scene a couple of weeks ago off campus near the lakes. And while I was waiting to give a witness statement, I was talking to some of the officers about the general problem of violence in Baton Rouge. And a couple of points that were very disturbing came up in that conversation. One was the lack of staffing in the Baton Rouge Police Department, and that leading to not having active patrols in many parts of the city. And I wonder how that works around the adjacency of campus. And then the second point that was concerning regarding to the university community was the preponderance of illegally obtained weapons in incidents of violence in East Baton Rouge Parish. And the police officers explained to me that many of the guns that are stolen from around the Baton Rouge campus and from students. And I don't know if that reflects your experience, But if it does, do we have any statistics on the number of guns that are stolen from students on campus? And is there any effort to address that through university policies or policing?
Sure. The Baton Rouge Police Department is short, and so is the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office, and so does every law enforcement across the country. It's hard to get quality men and women to come be police right now, and that's a norm. You know, I had a chief back in the day that I worked for, and he talked about during Vietnam when the Marines came back, and there was a low on that end, but look where they are now. So it's up to law enforcement to bring that numbers back up. I will tell you about the Baton Rouge Police Department, and I'm pretty knowledgeable because I spent 32 years there. I'm on my 43rd year of being a law enforcement officer. The problem with guns, you know, in the state of Louisiana, you can carry a gun in your car, and that includes, unfortunately, LSU campus. But you cannot come out of the car with the gun because we are a drug-free, guns, firearm-free zone. Well, so that being said, we do have a lot of students that have firearms in their car. And what we have seen is through technology, you know, nowadays the cars don't have keys, they have fobs. So our students decided that they can go online and make their phone able to unlock their car. So they get on the phone and they lock their car, but they're still close to their car and the fob unlocks the car. So we do have a criminal element that goes in our parking lot and is looking for cars that are unlocked. And sure enough, they are hitting a large percentage of cars that are completely unlocked and there's a firearm. So we are seeing a rash of that, not a rash of cars getting broken into through a window, but cars getting broke in based on the unlocked car. Then, and I've already met with the students, so it's not like I'm throwing them under the bus. Then they don't want to carry the fob and they keep the fob in their car, in the unlocked car. So not only does a violator get to steal the gun, they also get to steal the car. We have worked with University Relations that we put that out almost weekly. Lock your car. Don't put anything invisible in the car where they can look through the windows. And we continue that. So if you have an opportunity to any of your classes, ask them, have they locked their car? So I don't know if that answers your question, but the city officers are right. We are getting a lot of guns taken out of vehicles in the Baton Rouge area, but so is everywhere. Because I met with the sheriff's office the other day, and same thing in the neighborhoods. And every time the sheriff goes to a neighborhood group, he tells them, quit leaving your door unlocked in the driveway. I am going Thursday. The East Baton Rouge mayor is having a security meeting with the two universities. I know our president's going, and I'm curious what she has and what they have on their, on their agenda. And maybe when I find out, I can come back and tell you. Yes, ma'am. Did that answer your question, sir? I will. It gave me an opportunity. I forgot, and we have put this out several times, and it's mainly with students, not with faculty. But we have so many ways to report incidents to LSU besides the LSU Shield, anonymously. They can send texts because they don't like to call us. But what we're finding is a rash, including these three violent crimes. There's a rash of they wait till tomorrow, or they wait 4 hours from now. Well, we are very fortunate because of our call volume and because of our close proximity to our campus. We can be anywhere in 3 minutes. So anytime someone sees something, say something, and we want to check it out, and we'll be able to reach out there and find that person. But if we have to wait hours or to go follow up on it, it does slow down that.
So I have students, mostly female students that are juniors who are part of sororities in my class. And today they were discussing You know where I'm going.
I got the text.
You want to,
No, go ahead.
well, they got a text that told them to take all of their sorority letters off their cars, take it off all of their binders, off their clothing. Don't display any of the letters, because the working hypothesis in this young lady's death is that it was gang-related initiation. And I was wondering if you could speak to that and kind of talk to us about what we should be saying to our fellow faculty members when we go back to report this meeting.
Let me see how to say this nicely. I hate social media. It's 98% wrong. You know, we constantly are looking at social media, and I got the same text where our sorority girls are being targeted. I think we've had a couple of years in the past about that being, there's no evidence that that is happening. 100%. Of course, we know what, we think we know what happened with her, but until we catch the bad guy, we don't know. But there's no indication on physical evidence that she was targeted because of that. She was targeted because the train caught her and she was by herself. What I would like you to suggest to the sorority and to all of our students, don't be by yourself. Go in a group and go home in a group. We find they go in a group, then they get mad at one of them, and then they leave that one home by them at the Tigerland by themselves, and they got to walk back. Be like the Marines. Go with the group, come home with the group. So no, and one thing the university is doing good, and they haven't in the past, is we've had past administration that felt that they were not going to poke the bear. They're not going to get in the social media back and forth. But as a conversation I had with Ernie Ballard before I walked in the door, if we don't give our opinion of what it is, then it's just going to fester, and our parents are going to get involved, and it's a nightmare. So the university is moving towards. In fact, Ernie just sent out a posting on that statement that's going around. Yes.
Thank you, Chief. I have a suggestion. When we hear, or campus community hear, that we have 2 kidnapping, the whole community goes into fear. But then we hear, well, it wasn't kidnapping, it was assault. Assault is not a simple thing. But when you come here and explain to us that one was false and one was just somebody just trying to get a date, makes it much simpler and easier to digest. If you don't do that, then we are going to, the campus gets this bad reputation. There's a violence is rampant on campus. So you enlightened us that it wasn't that big. Is there any way, once the news goes out, you come out with the facts and tell the truth, tell the fact in detail what happened, so people just students are not scared for just nothing? Because what you told us, it was very enlightening. I appreciate that.
And actually we did that. Christine Cologne wrote and I basically copied and pasted what they put out in news and notes, and they send out all that. And I'm as guilty as anybody is. We don't read that stuff. So that's why I have an opportunity, and I need to do a better job. When we do get a rash of anything, let's come to get together, because y'all are our eyes and ears. Our staff is our eyes and ears. And I want to be able to say, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to say, yes, we had 2 kidnappings, and we don't know who did it. That's not the case. Yes, we have to get ahead of social media. Because they are defining us where we shouldn't be. Our campus is safe. Is it crime free? No, it's not. We don't have gates. It's not crime free, but it is safe.
Thank you.
I got 16 minutes. And I can't sing, so I can't dance either.
Do we have the type of camera could capture license plates when the car come into the campus and it's linked to a database so that they could identify whether it is a stolen car? Do we have that kind of camera installed?
I'm glad you asked that question. You know, I gave you that question outside and I wanted you to ask it. Yeah. Yes, sir. They're called LPR, license plate readers. We have 4. We have 4 at each of the 4 locations on the campus, South Quad or Engineer, Chime Street, Nicholson. The good thing about LPRs, and they've been around a while, they are probably one of the first sharing networks out there. So all the LPRs in this 3 parish area go into the BOSS system. And what's so good about that is whatever we get, they get. Whatever's in Tigerland, we get. So it's all sharing. So if we go in there and put a car description or put a partial plate, it doesn't even have to come through our LPR. It can come through any LPR. So yes, we do. And they work very well. The problem is most of our perpetrators park their car somewhere else and they walk in. And I assume you're at, what is the crime rate us compared to a city our size? I don't know that. I mean, obviously I can get it, but it's really no comparison because the fact that 98% of the people that live here want to do the right thing. Where you go to, and I'm just throwing Zachary out. If you live in Zachary, David McDavid, the chief and mayor candidate, is a friend of mine. But if you look at Zachary, 98% of them are not all law-abiding citizens. So, you know, it's false stats because crime comes into our city. It doesn't happen in our city. I will say we're on the average of the SEC schools, but again, that's hard to say. You know, we're down south. We have more guns than Florida has. Florida, you can't have a gun in the car, so it's real hard to look at just pure stats. You know, I'm sorry. No, college campus should be one of the safest places in your parish or in your county, because the fact that, you know, we have more police officers than Zachary and Baker, and we have a less concentrated, we have a smaller concentrated area. We have to do things that a municipality doesn't do. So, you know, but again, it gives us the ability to, you know, and I was talking, I think I was talking to the provost when he first came, to find a college officer, a higher ed officer to work on a college campus. It really takes a different personality. Baton Rouge Police Department has about 600 officers. I would pick maybe 30, and I know them all, because that officer not only has to be able to handle an active shooter and any other business, but they also have to be able to talk to an 18-year-old and actually make a difference. You know, we all talk about when you're on TV shows and they ask you why you want to be the police, and we always say, oh, because we want to help people. No, we want to drive fast and, you know, do that. But a college campus, you can actually help people. We started years ago what we call the Adopt a Dorm, and I know they don't call them dorms anymore, but Adopt a Res Life didn't make a difference. So we had officers that were assigned voluntarily different locations in residential life, and we did this pre-COVID. And what they do is they go to game night, they'll go to movie night, they'll go to dinner. And it gave the students ability to know Mark as Mark Neely, not as Sergeant Neely. And we felt that was real successful, because 3 years later, when that freshman decides they don't want to live on campus and they go down on Burbank and live there, then the same officers, the Dr. Dharma officers, were getting the call. Hey, Mark, I'm having trouble with my roommate. Well, I know, but you don't live on campus. I know, but you need to help me. So, we felt real fortunate that we were making a difference. And that is our goal. You look at LSU football game, and we won't talk about traffic. We can talk about it because I have 11 minutes, but we have 500 officers that worked the LSU Southern game, and we expected there was 280,000 people on our campus. Most of them were on our campus and not watching the game. How many arrests do you think we made that 16-hour period? 5. Who said 5? You've been to the meeting. You can't say 5. Yeah, 5. So it just shows you that even when we bring in outside agencies, our goal is to get everyone safe, everyone have a good time, as long as you don't cross that line. And even that line kind of bends sometimes. But, we feel real fortunate of the partnerships we have with our 2 agencies, the Sheriff's Office. And we bring in officers from Point Capee, Zachary, Baker, just because we just need as many as it takes to get everyone here. Yes, sir.
Say our campus would say the same, but we're embedded, right? So our students say when they're off campus, and when we compare that to other places, I really that was beyond
Yes, we do. Obviously we have the sheriff's office and the city. When we do our security and safety meeting, that is the point. We want to show that group, and we do a heat map every time we meet, and we look at the heat map and show LSU and then show red all around us. So areas off of campus, there are areas off campus that are not safe. So you have to use, and I met with the student group, and it just came out of me when we're talking to them, and I asked them how many are from Baton Rouge, and about probably 30% raised their hand. How many's from this place and this place? And then I asked how many are from New York, and 2 people raised their hand, and it dawned on me, we have to teach our children, our students now, to be big city kids. I'm from Baton Rouge. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge. I went to University High. Like I said, I've been a policeman all my adult life. I worked at Funfair Park, and then I would join the police department. But we have to have people understand that we're no longer a small city. We are a major city, and major city comes major crime. So yes, to answer your question, there are areas. It used to be when I was first policeman, I could say, yes, this area is bad, this area is bad, this area is bad. You can't do any of that anymore because crime is now mobile. This area is bad. And our goal is to make this area not bad and keep on pushing it out. So yeah, we cannot stop crime. So we have to get smart and do things. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid, my parents and my dad was a retired sheriff's deputy. We go to Florida and leave the door unlocked for a week. I said, well, aren't you worried about somebody coming in? Well, at least I don't have to fix the window when they come in, because it didn't happen, but it does now. So we just have to be big city people.
Hi, it's loud. Hannah Villaglavitz from CMDA. I just had a couple questions. Maybe I can give you one at a time, like 4.
Okay, sure.
So I was just wondering if you could describe more about the lighting project, as well as the timeline for that and the timeline for the camera system.
The lighting project falls under Tony Labardo and facilities. I do know the number one thing is we got the money. I think it's in, Winston can correct me. I think it's 1 point something million. The good point is, you know, we do these. Has anybody ever participated in the lighting walk that we did every year? Because we did it at 5 o'clock in the summer and it wasn't dark. We had to wait around till the little solar lights came on to say the lights on. So at least we got rid of the night walk. So what they did, they brought in a company and they did a survey on lighting and what areas need to be lit. Because I learned through that, you know, at some point you can get too much light, and wherever that light ends, that area becomes even darker. We are a dark campus. We need, and they won't let us cut down trees because I would cut down all the trees and they won't let us do that. So the survey was able to look at, and Tony has the map, and I don't know if he's put it online, but it shows areas of the campus that need lighting and what kind of lighting. So my understanding, they're going to start putting lights up in October, but don't quote me, don't type on that because I see you typing away. Tony Labordo, his cell phone number is 225. I will tell you about the cameras. Like I said, we had to go out for bid. We were able to do 3 bids. We have so much cameras, we've run out of room. So the server room the picture's full. So we're able to, with that same bid and with university funding, we bought more server spaces. So Craig Worley over at IT will have the server space needed to bring the footage in, because there's no point of having camera footage if we can't retain it. We're also able to look at the new Exxon cameras that we're getting. Like I said, it went out to bid. The bid's closed. We should see who won on the 23rd. And if it's up to me, but it's probably up to my boss, I would buy the camera on the 25th. So we are ready. We have the list. The departments and auxiliaries know what cameras we're replacing. We sent make, model number, the equipment to put them on the wall or wherever the camera happens to be. And the good thing is we don't need a survey to do that. No, we're taking that old camera that hadn't worked in 2 years off, and we're plugging it into the camera footage, camera line that we have. The third thing we're doing is we're going to put out another bid on the maintenance. The maintenance will allow us to have a company online or on board that can come in and do the maintenance project. It'll also allow us that every 5 years, that camera will automatically get replaced. So again, new technology. So we feel real comfortable with that, and the money is there too. So we hope by the time Christmas break comes, they'll be up and running.
Okay. And then for my second question, will the new camera system be advertised in any way besides emails? Like, so how will we get the word out about it?
No one Universal Relations, they're going to put something out. We don't want to put anything out because we want to catch some people, but I'm sure the university is going to put something out on that. I know every time I talk, I'm able to talk about that. So I'm sure something's going to go out.
Okay. And then I had a question also about the Security and Safety Committee meetings. So, when are they? Where can we find out more information about them? Are they open to the public?
They're not open to the public. Our general counsel says I don't have to open it up to the public, but they're obviously opened up to faculty, staff, and students. It's every month. I know there's one tomorrow at 2:00 at T. Boyd. And I can't remember the room. It's where the diversity vice president used to be. Yeah, there you go. And yes, anybody's welcome, because that's what we want. And that's why we push real hard to get student coming to come, because, we're the police. We think we know everything. We want our community to come talk to us, and let's see together we can do a better job. All right, I got 1 minute and 46 seconds. Well, you were on my committee. You can't talk. then yes, the levy is ours, in the geofencing of the campus. So obviously, if you go south and you go north, it's not ours, but the levy is ours. The river halfway is East Baton Rouge city limits, but the levy is definitely ours. And yes, we would love to be able to put additional officers on the levy. We'd love to put additional officers in community policing. We need some bodies. So we have an active posting for police officer 1, 2, and 3, if anybody's interested. Let me say real quick, and I won't count my time. I got 13 seconds, but this is my time. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of LSU Shield. It's an app. It's free. There's so much that app can do. It can notify police, 911. It will automatically tell us what floor you're in, what building you're in, and what room you're in. It will allow you to do anonymous texting. It'll allow you to take pictures. It'll allow you to say, I'm going to the vet school and I'll be back in 30 minutes. And if you don't cancel that 30 minutes, it's going to call 5 of your friends. The problem is we have very low participation with our student population. So if you ever get a chance and y'all talk about security and safety, make sure they have LSU Shield. Last question, and then I'll be glad to stay afterwards.
Sorry. You're required to, by the Clery Act, to report. Federal law says you have to report crime statistics.
Clery crimes, yes.
Clery Act, 1990, I think it was. Okay, so I don't know. The state of Louisiana requires cities and parishes. There's no federal law that the FBI has a voluntarily. You disclose to the FBI, and obviously, if politicians don't do it, that would probably not. There's no incentive not to report. My question is the statistics in EBR, and I'm not trying to question the integrity of the EBR Sheriff's Department of Baton Rouge. Those statistics you are getting around Baton Rouge, how accurate are those statistics? And is that information being communicated to the broader population EBR? Because I don't know if I'm always like I'm getting statistics from EBR in Baton Rouge. I don't know if that's a decision, the media is not, or somebody, but I don't think that information is getting out, whereas you guys have to do it.
By law, they have to fill out the UCR, Uniform Crime Report.
To the FBI.
To the FBI.
By law?
By law.
Okay.
But, there is no, there is no jail to go there, but you can be fined. Where I think stats sometimes get manipulated, and not necessarily with violent crime. For example, a car burglary, and Winston can tell you, you can define under UCR, you can define a car burglary about 5 different ways. But violent crime, I can assure you that violent crime is being reporting accurate. All over. Yes, sir.
That last one.
Last one.
And I'll be glad to stay after.
Just real quick, just to address my colleague's question at the back. When we tend to, Edward Shahada from Sociology, Criminology. We look at the homicide rate because that's kind of hard to fudge. You can't redefine a dead body as a bicycle theft. So that's sort of the bellwether of kind of violent crime. It's the tip of the violence iceberg. And last year, Baton Rouge was about 8th most violent city in America. That's the bad news. The good news is it's coming down. I spoke with Hiller Moore this morning, and we are 17 fewer murders this year than this time last year, which still puts us very, very high. but it's coming down. It was there was this COVID burst. I can't say the same thing for New Orleans. New Orleans is still going up, and it is the most violent city in America, without question, right now. But in terms of Baton Rouge, the homicide rate is coming down. It's still very high, though.
Yeah, I'll be glad to stay afterwards. I'm behind and I went to here. It's 1978, 79. Y'all help me out all the time. So I appreciate anything I can do. My name and emails on the website. Don't hesitate to call.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. That concludes our business for today. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those against, say nay. Okay, we are adjourned at, I don't know what time it is. 4:14. Record. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month.
The spelling of that student is Ellison Rice.